So as a branch manager, there's two ways to increase my income. So one way is to help my loan officers close more loans,
Hmm.
right? We've talked about that. The other way, the other big way, I mean, there's some other smaller ways. The other big way is to add the amount of loan officers in my branch.
100%.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about number two today, adding more loan officers to my branch.
Okay, cool.
So the good old R word, recruiting, right? So where do we start with this topic?
Well, it's interesting. We just a month and a half ago or so did several meetings within our coaching group, the people in leadership,
Okay.
about what was working and was not. And we kind of redid the whole thing. It was pretty interesting find, Carl. We really came up with kind of, I want to call it 10 pieces, like 10 pieces to a puzzle to
Okay.
really have a good recruiting system and get the conversion. Because a lot of managers, they try to recruit and then they don't get the results that they're hoping for. And what we find is pieces of these 10 steps. I don't think you have to have all 10, but the more of them you have,
The better you'll be.
the chances of your conversion rate on quality
Hey,
recruits
do you
goes
have do
way
you
up.
off the top of your head, do you have the stat of what percentage of loan officers change jobs once a year? Like in the
I
last 12 months, how many have changed?
It is, it's not in front of me, but it's a high number. It's like 25 or 30%.
That's what I remember too. I don't have it right in front of me either, but I just saw it like within the last week and it was like 23%, 26, it was 20 something percent. So it was like a big number. So it's
Yeah. But how do you get the good ones? That's the key,
yeah,
right?
that
Because
that
some of them are just churning.
that's true. They're looking for a draw from one place to the other,
Yeah. Yeah,
but a
exactly.
good portion I mean, because I got some of my friends, that have changed in like in the last, I don't know, 6, 7 months. Not to any one company, all different stories, different places, different companies and whatnot. And gosh, most people I know are pretty big producer,
Yeah.
or certainly sizable, and they move too. They move too. So I don't know what the average lifespan of a loan officer at a company is. I'm going to guess it's an educated guess. I remember seeing that somewhere too, and it was like 2.5 years was the
That
average.
that's probably about right, but that has got to be skewed by all the people just looking for a draw, and they're not.
Yeah. Mhm.
The LOs aren't out there working it, and the companies aren't providing the support to the LOs,
Mhm, mhm.
right? So, because I think the better LOs and the better companies, that retention rate's longer.
For sure. Oh yeah, for sure. So I know, like, yeah, for sure. I'm not saying this just because I can, but like over at our branch, I'm a non-producing branch manager. That Yeah, our stick rate is high, and I know a lot of the talking to a lot of your members in the leadership academy. Again, I mean, we all lose some here and there, right? But the stick
Yeah.
rate in the leadership academy is really high too.
Oh,
So
I've got guys, their average longevity of their average person is like 8 to 10 years.
yeah,
It's
that's
unbelievable how some. But again, having a full ecosystem, a support system for them,
yeah, yeah.
and the culture makes the difference. Absolutely,
So,
just like
so
it
you,
does. But you also brought up a good point. You're a non-producing manager, so recruiting has been a good way for you to grow and grow your income and your volume, right?
For sure. Well, it's the two ways. The number one, getting them to close more loans each, like get your average up, and then number two, bring in more talent. With the am I allowed to say promise? I'm not sure, but or with the yeah, I think so. With the promise that as you're listening to this, the branch managers that are listening to this, being able to promise people, hey, number one, I'm gonna bring you in, and one of the things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna remove the boundaries or the barriers to help you close more loans, like whatever that is.
100%.
Yeah.
That's as I talked about the 10 steps. Those are kind of right in the middle. Those are a couple of the biggies.
All right.
So,
So when you say
so do
there's
we want
10
to run
pieces,
through them? I
yeah,
can
let's.
do hit or miss, or we can run through all 10.
Well,
Do
we can. Why don't we grab the and these are in no particular order, I'm assuming. Why don't we grab like five, and if we have time, we'll maybe this is part one, part two, and maybe we'll do a little mini marathon here.
okay. Okay, cool.
So what's the first one?
Well, I kind of think of it as a process. So I kind of start in towards the beginning.
Okay.
Most managers are more hit and miss. Oh, I'm going to talk to this guy. Let's see what's going on here. They don't really have a plan. So I think first you got to, who do you want? Who do you not? Because hiring the wrong person's expensive. Every hire affects your culture. And so you got to outline, we've got people who they want to take people never in the mortgage business before, but they want a salesperson and they have success in doing that. Others, I want people with 2 or 3 years experience. But whatever your model is, you got to define who you want because I don't know about you. Well, I think of two things, but I know one with my sick brain. If I don't like, if somebody says, yeah, hey, that sounds great. Well, they must be smart, right? Because they're feeding my ego. Doesn't mean they're a good fit. Mm-hmm. Or yeah, again, that movie Moneyball. Remember Brad Pitt playing
Love that movie.
the man, but what was in it, he didn't have the money to throw at people. And so he really defined for what they were trying to do, what were the characteristics of the ball player, which is very different from kind of what his team was thinking. No, we got to go after the best and pay up and do all that. So you really got to outline who you want, what would be a good fit, and probably more importantly, who would not be a good fit, if that makes sense. And kind of along that line, it kind of part of that is you then also need to create a system that's consistently finding good people for you to network with, right? Because good producers don't just typically appear. So you really need some reliable sources and platforms. And there's multiple ways to do this, but to find people all the time and kind of fill your funnel. Just like a big corporation has recruiters that go to colleges and they got HR teams that are out there and industry associations. What is going to be your system to find you the quality of candidates you want? Does that make sense?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I've always kind of looked at so most of us that are branch managers were a loan officer also producing, and some people are producing branch managers. So I've always looked at it like, well, the same way that I look for talent, to join my branch, is basically treating it just like the same way of going after the real estate agents, looking for the referrals for the loans. It's the same basic process, that you have to spend some time prospecting and have a value add offer that they're going to be better referring you loans than not referring you loans, better than referring it to somebody else. And same thing, it's like in the Leadership Academy is how does each of the branch managers in there make an offer of how, if you come work at each prospective branch, how are you going to make it better for somebody? It's just good old fashioned prospecting.
It is. And then, but the other thing you're touching also in that point I hear, which is kind of moving on, but I agree with you. You got to find, that's how you're going to keep filling the funnel, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're going to have people who leave us because somebody dies or they're retiring or the spouse is getting transferred or whatever.
For whatever reason. Yeah.
Exactly. So you got to keep filling that funnel. And then the other thing that has amazed me, and I did it for years, a lot of managers, when they do finally get somebody to talk to, they kind of shoot from the hip, right? Well, we'll tell them all the stuff we got. And this is kind of like the third or fourth piece. You really got to create a funnel, a process, a path you're going to take your recruits down. Because as you said, the promise you're going to make to improve their life. But if you're just shooting from the hip, it's not very good. And you got to really know, here's what we're about. Here's what we can do. Here's what we're not good at. So you got to kind of map out your recruit. I think Kevin Broughton's one of the best at this. I watched him and the first meet, hey, let's just get to know each other. And then if that goes good, we got 3 or 4 or 5, whatever the number is, right?
Yeah.
Steps you're going to go through. And everybody in the Leadership Academy that has mapped out these steps, their recruiting numbers in conversions improve. So, yeah. And we've got kind of a map we like to use, but I think of Nick Saban, when he was at Alabama and his coaches, his team would say, well, we want this guy or we need that. And they would want to make all these promises. No, he really had a plan outlined and we're going to follow it, guys. And because if we don't do that, how do we know they want to be here for us?
So I'll tell you how you screw that up. Or let me rephrase that. I'll tell you how I screwed that up one time. Right. So all this great wisdom comes at a price, right? Wisdom comes out of screwing up a whole, like a really wise
A
person
bunch.
has screwed up a bunch, and I've done my share. So not having the process, like one of the first things that we do is first let's just see if we like each other, right? Because you
Yep.
need to at least enjoy, at some level who you're working with. And then number two, do we do the kind of loans that you do?
Right.
I remember I brought on this loan officer, super nice guy, right? And he actually was a husband wife team. So super nice couple. They were averaging 20 plus units a month. And so I was all giddy. This is probably going back 13, 14 years ago. Well, after we brought them on board, or after I brought them on board, come to find out, all the loans that they did were a kind of a loan where there was very, 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 very thin, if any, margins. In fact, I think we actually took a loss on each one. So we're taking a loss on like 25 to 30 loans a month we're taking a bath on. And this is the only kind of loans they want to work on. And good for them, right? It wasn't their fault. It was my fault for not having a process and not just getting excited about looking at their volume and unit numbers. It's like, oh, we need to make sure we do the kind of loans that you like to do and that we have the programs that you need. And frankly, that you're selling what we can, turn a profit on, right? Because we got to make a profit. So anyway, that was a big lesson on your process. So always keep filling my funnel. Number two, have a process, a step by step. We do the intro call. Do we do your kind of loans call? We do the money call and doing that stuff.
Yeah. Well, so you map out the process. And so
Okay.
the next couple steps are part of the process. So obviously, getting in front of them, that first call, what's your scripts? And there's all sorts of them. We've got some great ones. Some I've gotten from you where it's how do you get in front of them so that they want to have a conversation with you?
Hey there. Hey, if you're loving the tips so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button right down there and then tap the little bell so that you never miss out on more free, cool tips coming your way. Also, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment beneath there. Let me know what you think or tell me what you'd like to hear next.
And then at your first meeting, you talk about things you screwed up. I've done this for years wrong where you go in and you want to, man, I really want to razzle dazzle these guys. I'm going to show them how great we are and all the tools we have for the first meeting. Man, was that a stupid mistake.
So that sounds like intuitively that think, well, that sounds like a good idea.
That's really what most managers do. And it's where most of us strike out. The first meeting isn't about selling them, I've come to find out. It's about diagnosis. You're really analyzing one, are they a good fit? Would they fit the culture? And you're uncovering all their wants, their needs, their challenges, their goals, their desires. And what that does is give you ammunition, assuming they could be a good fit, gives you ammunition on how you build the rest of the process to bring them on. But doing that first meeting, I mean, you can tell them a little bit, but boy, so many of us, the guy or girl took the call, they're ready to meet with you, they're wanting to find out a little bit, but the truth is, the more important subject is themselves. We are our most important subject, and so
For sure.
finding out about them and how you do that in a smooth, cool way is a skill set. It's not a hard skill set, but it's a skill set to
Mhm.
learn, and it's different than what most managers do.
So,
Would you agree with that?
I would you say the best formula for that is ask questions, shut up and listen?
Two ears and one mouth. You got to do
Yeah.
twice as much listening as you do.
Yeah. God
Yeah,
knows.
100%.
Hey, yeah,
And we got a whole set of questions to ask so that they feel good about telling you and opening up. And the more they tell you and open up and feel good about it, the more they like you,
mm,
right? Because you took a
mm.
true interest in them.
Yeah, people are interested in people that are interested in them.
100%. As
Yeah.
simple as it sounds. And then the second meeting, we've made a shift here. This is a real unique shift.
Okay.
Once we learned how to ask all the questions, fine. Then the second meeting, okay, now we're going to wow them. Now we're going to show them all the stuff we got. And you kind of want to touch on it, but the second meeting, what we've agreed to, and we got some people really doing well with this, is The second meeting, you go from discovering and analyzing, diagnosing them like a doctor. The second meeting's like you're going to give the prescription like a doctor would. And
Mm.
it's really, they don't sign up with you. What you really want to do is map out a plan. And by that, it's okay to show them all the tools you got, all your technology, all your products, all your team. That's great stuff. But I don't join you because of all the tools or products or pricing or team. I join you because of the outcome I get. And so in the second meeting, what we've discovered is rather you want to touch on those things, but you really want to be able, as you said, to come in and make your promise. And so, you want to be able to say, okay, Carl, after talking to you, man, whether you're with us or somebody else, you're going to do great. But here's the plan we would have for you. Let's see if this makes sense. And our goal for you is to quickly double your income and then go on towards $1 million in income. So here's phase one. This is what you would experience in the first 90 days. And you're going to get 45% of your time back. And you're going to get to know the team so you can trust them, which is going to open it up for you to do more selling. And you kind of talk about that first 30 to 45 days. Then just beyond that, within the first 6 months here, our goal is to literally have you double your income. And then you hit a couple highlights of that. And then after that 6 months, maybe the next year to two, we want to see you double your production again. Because it's the time freedom and the doubling of income are the results that I'm really looking for. I'm not looking for a DSCR loan. Does that make sense? I hope. I don't know that
Yeah.
I've said that well, but I hope I have.
Yeah. It's not that I want a new car. It's that I want to be at point B, leaving from point A. It's not the feature, like the AI cool stuff we have, which we have. It's the result that that feature gives me.
Yeah. So in the second meeting, that's
You
exactly
know,
right.
what it goes out probably the classic example. Nobody wants a drill; they want the hole.
100%.
That's
100%. And so what you want to do in the second meeting is give them that. Here's the treasure map. Here's the promise we're going to make to you. And we're going to show you then how you can go from where you're at then to being a senior producer and then maybe a team lead or a branch leader or whatever. Tom Gallagher mapped this out literally where he shows people how if you're brand new in the business, what you need to learn and expect to do, and then the next several phases. I've got a couple others that their promise is so good and it really creates interest and it creates additional curiosity. And if you can do it right, then we found, boy, they're real glad to meet with you a third and a fourth and a fifth time. You won't get everybody, but you'll get a high percentage. And tell me if this makes sense. Then that kind of goes into the next step, which is those follow-up meetings. The
Yeah.
follow-up meetings are where you're going to give proof that in this, what you promised in the second meeting isn't just a bunch of empty promises. Since I outlined what you're going to do in the second meeting, now what I want to do is prove it to you. And then you're going to have maybe it's a meeting with the ops team and see the technology. And then the next meeting might be about products and pricing or your sales system and mastery. So you're going deep in proving everything that was in what we suggest in that second meeting, a one-page plan. It's simple. They can see it. It's a treasure map. And man, I want that treasure, if that makes sense. And then that leads them in to you get a higher percentage of third, fourth, and fifth meetings. And assuming that all goes well, then your conversion increases quite a bit.
What do you find is the typical length of time that this typically runs? Like, and let's do by the time branch manager Mary has that first contact with somebody until that prospect she's talking to says, Mary, let's do it. Let's join forces together. And I get it. They might be working down their pipeline and wait another 30 days. But like, what's the typical time frame between first contact and decision made?
I would say if you meet with 10 people,
Okay.
2 to 3 of them, that would make a decision pretty quick, right?
Okay.
So about 25%. And so that could be over a couple of weeks.
Okay.
couple of months. But then there's also those people. I always laugh. It's as a leader, we laugh. It's funny sometimes why people. Well, man, I want to join you, but I got this pipeline, or I've already paid Social Security and benefits, so I don't want to move until the end of the year, right? Or I'm not. The pain isn't your
Yeah.
the nail that the dog story you share all the time
Yeah.
is not. And so I always think of it, you got kind of two types of people you're following up with. Those that will continue to meet with you, right? And they want to find out more. And then there's another group out of that 10, another 3 or 4 that they would eventually join you, but they're not ready yet. And that's why you also got to continue to follow up just like you do with agents. Because, Carl, how many times have you ever had this? I've had this a bunch. Is I've had what I thought was a great recruiting meeting, and man, this person's going to join us eventually. And then you see them 4 or 6 months later, and they go, "Oh yeah, I just moved."
Yeah.
And shame on me. It was the truth is I can't blame them. I didn't stay in touch with them. So there's a couple of there's your follow up meetings, but then there's also your working your pipeline just like a loan officer works their database.
Yeah. I goes, it's just like having I call it my pre-approval that maybe I haven't spoken with, for 45 days. Come to find out they're under contract and getting ready to close with, loan officer Larry. And again, not their fault, my fault for not following up.
Yep.
So same thing with the loan officer. If we miss that opportunity, we got to do the follow. Again, it really a lot of this sounds very similar to ramping up our business, with referral partners. It's just a different customer, but same. It's sounding very
100%.
similar process.
It's a similar process, but the more you can get these steps outlined and in place, it makes a difference. And then probably the last point I'll make, and what I find is as leaders, when we get somebody, okay, hey, count me in, I'm here. What they'll do is they'll say, okay, and they get excited and they sign the person up and bring them on. They don't map out. I always believe you got to have an onboarding meeting. Let's review what we've agreed to. Here's what we're going to do. And you show them, again, all the things you have, all your tools, all your promises. But here's what we're expecting from you. A lot of times we're real bad at saying, here's what you got to do. Right. And then they come on and they aren't making calls. And we're going, well, why aren't they? Well, were we clear enough that that's how we do it here? And then you got to have like a 30 to 60 day onboarding process. That first 30 to 60 days are with you is critical for them to feel I made the right decision. Because a lot of times, and we've all seen it with recruits, you're talking to somebody and they go, well, I moved over here, but I thought my comp plan was this, or I thought it would be like this. And it turns out none of it's true, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
really want to, let's make sure we're on the same page. It's something I highly recommend.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, if somebody wants to hear more about how do they get on these meetings with you and these other big hitters on how to add people to their team, what's the best way to do that?
Go to profitdrivenplan.com, profitdrivenplan.com, and we'll have a brainstorm strategy and kind of show you what we do, talk about what you're dealing with, and you can decide if it makes sense. And we always believe we like to share a couple ideas that you'll walk away from, even if you're not interested in joining the coaching. That's okay. It's not a hard sell. It's, hey, let's brainstorm. Is this a good fit?
The waterboarding only happens after they decide no.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Hotel California. You can never leave.
Obviously tongue in cheek. So
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate you,
Absolutely.
Kevin. I've learned a lot on the recruiting from you, and it certainly has helped us out, and I highly recommend it. So I appreciate you, brother.
Well, and you helped me as well. So thank you.